So in this video, we are looking at writing the converse, the inverse, and the contrapositive of a conditional statement, and then determining their truth values. So important just to understand the definitions of converse, inverse, and contrapositive, and I encourage you to click on explain or check the textbook or both in ALEKS just to get a good sense of these definitions. But just kind of a quick summary. If you look at a conditional statement, so just first of all, conditional statement, that means P implies Q. You're going to see words like the antecedent and the consequent. That's the antecedent is the first piece, the consequent is the thing that follows. I think of that as like consequence, something that comes as a result of something else. So just you see some terminology there, but just the real quick version is the thing that you're supposing, the if part, this P in this case, that's what we call the antecedent. The Q, the thing that follows as a result of whatever it is you're supposing, that's the consequent. Now, the converse of a conditional is just reversing the roles of that antecedent and the consequent. So in other words, the converse comes from writing Q implies P. The inverse comes from negating both of the original pieces. So in other words, the inverse is saying, well, not P implies not Q. And then the contrapositive comes from reversing the order and negating each of them. So in other words, the contrapositive is not Q implies not P. So that takes writing it out a few times, making flashcards, memorizing whatever it is, but just those are straight up definitions. Converse means reverse order, inverse means negate them as they were originally, contrapositive means reverse them and negate them. So once you understand those definitions, then these really aren't so bad. So the current problem here is we're looking at the statement, if an item is a pendant, then the item is made from copper. So notice in that table, if it's a pendant, then it's made from copper. Okay, fine. So that in and of itself is a true statement. If it is a pendant, it is made of copper. That's a true statement. Now, what would the converse be? Well, the converse, as we said, is just reversing the order. So that means if it is made of copper, because that's the Q, so if made of copper, then what? Then it is a pendant. And so there's a drop down of choices, but that's essentially what you're choosing. So if it is made of copper, then it is a pendant. Yeah, I thought I wrote that backwards, but I didn't. So at any rate, so that's how you find the converse. And you can look at that and say, if it's made of copper, then it is a pendant. So now we're looking sort of backwards, starting with Q. Well, we've got two different things made of copper. So if it's made of copper, it could be a pendant or it could be a necklace. So that's definitely false based on this table. Inverse is negate the original statement. So if it is not and my alarm's going off. If it is not a pendant, then it is not made of copper. So that would be negating each of the original statements, and then still keeping it as if then. And if you look at those carefully, so if it's not a pennant, then it's not made of copper. Well, if it's not a pennant, that would be like a necklace. But it is made of copper. So see, there's a situation where that is false. So if it's not a pennant, then we're saying it's not made of copper. That's what this inverse is. And that's definitely not true, because we found something that isn't a pennant that is made of copper. So that's why that is false. Contrapositive in this instance. So that's saying negate each of the statements and reverse the order. So the original statement was, if it's a pennant, then it's made from copper. So now we say, if it's not made of copper, then it is not a pendant. So if it's not made of copper, so that's this, or this, then that's true. It's not a pendant. So now we can decide that that statement is true. So as you do these, they're going to twist them all around. The truth values may vary as you look at them, but as far as how you build these, they all follow that same pattern in terms of those are the definitions. Converse is reverse order. Inverse is keep the same order but negate both pieces. Contrapositive is reverse and negate.